We talk about how and why our minds are distressed psychologically, but we haven't talked about how our environment can affect our minds. So in light of the academic year 2020-2021, we're talking about school. Welcome to Think Out Loud. Good day everyone! Welcome to another episode of Think Out Loud, Minds on the Mic, where we talk about life, school, and whatever thoughts come to mind, providing a platform for your ideas. I'm your host, your speaker, your friend, Mark Rebollido. With that, let's get right into the topic. So, for some of us, we're already going back to school. I'm going back to school. Online classes, I believe. Yes, I'm gonna do online classes. And I believe some of us are also gonna do online classes. For those people who can afford or it's mandatory for them in their country or in their region to have online classes, it's something that we're all new to. It's unprecedented. However, what's not unprecedented is the idea of going to school. We've been doing this for so long, and we've been doing this through face-to-face contact. So, for this episode, I want to talk to you about our schools. We talk about how and why, the reasons for our distress, mainly psychologically, how our minds can be in a certain way or is formed in a certain way. That's why we're struggling. Maybe it's because of puberty. Maybe it's because of family matters or anything that psychologically affects us. So that's something to be considered. That's something that is very important. Mental health is important. However, we haven't tackled how our environment affects us. So far, we've tackled how our peers can affect us. But that doesn't sum up the entire school experience. And the reason I want to talk to you about school is not only because of it's another school year for some of us, but I want to talk to you about how it affects us. That the betterment of a school can actually better us as a person and as a student. So, we talk a lot about schools, but we haven't talked about how it's actually broken. Yep, you heard it correctly. It's actually broken. How are their schools broken? Well, in this episode, I will tackle two things that are broken in school. And it's two systematic things that are very important to tackle. So, we must talk about first the lack of funding and the facilities. Those are the same thing. Fundings and facilities. The next is poverty. It's very important to talk about these things. So, systematically, our school systems are broken, especially in the Philippines. Not in every country the school system is broken. Not in all countries. You have countries that are high on the list in education, and you have those schools that are at the bottom. So our system is broken here in the Philippines, especially through funding. How are we broken when it comes to funding and facilities? Well, it is because of insufficient space or unrepaired facilities. So, it's very important to know that your area is very crucial to your learning. You may be the smartest in your class. You may be the dumbest in your class. You may be the most average or just an average student in your class. But it doesn't matter if your school is dirty, if your school is, broken. You're always afraid if your ceiling is gonna fall, or maybe it's because it's too loud. There's no proper noise cancellation, or not noise cancellation, but proper noise atmosphere. You're not gonna be able to learn properly. So this is very important. We have insufficient space. You're gonna be crammed into a classroom, or it's unrepaired. You have broken seats, broken windows, broken anything. It doesn't necessarily mean that everything should be broken for you to not be able to learn properly. Only if the doors are broken, or the blackboards, the whiteboards, the chairs, the ceiling, or any one of those, you're gonna have a hard time learning. So, how do we prove that insufficient space or unrepaired areas are very crucial or very detrimental to a student's learning? Well, if you go to Science Direct, link down below, according to them, space is and should be recognized as the third aspect of effective learning. This is a conclusion, this is a study that they made on how active learning and also space can affect our learning. And they found that space should be recognized as an essential aspect of effective learning. Not only the curriculum, the student, but also the environment. And another thing that is from Interior Avenue, go to the link below. I will put all of the links below. According to Interior Avenue, there are 5 major things in environment. So, Science Direct says that we should maintain a good environment, that environment should be recognized as the third aspect of effective learning, but we don't actually get what should be fixed. It's like if somebody says to you, you need to be better. You don't know what you should be better at. So according to Interior Avenue, the 5 major things that should be improved or should be high quality or just up to par with the best schools in every schools are noise or sound. The school should be either able to maintain the noise or have noise cancelling around them, so people won't be too affected by the noise. So just the environment, generally the noise, that should be fixed. And if you go to a typical public school or any school for that matter, especially here in the Philippines, you will see that a lot of students are noisy, are rowdy, are naughty. And I may not be affected by it, you may not be affected by it, but there are students that are affected by it, and it's the majority actually. If you feel that you're not affected, you might not be affected in a major way, but in a minor way, your environment could be better. So this is one thing. Another thing is air quality. If you feel that you don't have enough oxygen, or you feel that it's crowded, it smells bad, the humidity is too thick, that is not you being too sensitive, or that's the school being unable to attend to the students' need, because you can have decent air quality. That's good. However, if the school is too humid, the school is too dangerous and can suffocate a lot of students, that's very bad for the students, especially for the teachers as well, for those people who walk around the school. Next is lighting. How is lighting important? Well, first, because you're gonna strain your eyes if there's no proper lighting. No, too bright, too dark, just the right amount of lighting. So if you don't have proper lighting, you're gonna strain your eyes, you're gonna focus on not being blinded or not being too strained or trying to read your notes. That's what you're gonna focus on. You're not gonna focus on the class itself, or your attention will be divided. And it is better if you study with your full attention to the topic. Next is size. And this is another thing when it says insufficient space. The size of the classroom is important, because if you're too crowded, you're gonna be disturbed by your seatmate or by people around you because they're too noisy. You can hear them, you can hear everything, or you could be pushed or in the middle of play, or the play between two friends. So you will be affected. So if you don't have the proper size in the classroom, you will inevitably have a hard time studying. Also, you don't have enough space to move, and free movement is good when you're in school. Free movement around your seat. And next is, this is not something that I will be talking about today, but education tailored to the 21st century. If you don't have a curriculum that is tailored to the 21st century students, then you're gonna be teaching them how to succeed in the past. You're not gonna be able to teach them how to succeed in the future. Prince EA made a great poem, a great video about this, that the school is actually made to better the students or the people's ability to work in factories when it was in the industrialization age. So it really made them succeed in that. There's a specific time to work, there's specific time to do things, there's specific time to be able to eat, sleep, go to work. There's always a specific time, and it's not so flexible. Your schedule is not so flexible. Yet nowadays we're so flexible. You can be a freelancer and still succeed. You can be in an office but have your schedule be fluid and still succeed. Our time right now are based on technology. If we don't get to be taught technology in a 21st century manner, we won't be able to learn. However, I'm not gonna be tackling too much into how 21st century education is important, because I will be talking about that, or somewhat talking about that, in the bonus episode. So stay tuned to that. So next, we have already tackled how we should fix our school, or how the school should be. So I've only pointed out vague things about the Philippines or the school system. However, let's cite some things. Let's see definitively how are the schools broken. The schools here are predominantly broken in one of these aspects. And what is that? Well, that is the classroom size. According to C. Kenneth Tanner from the University of Georgia, that the ample amount of space for 10 students plus 1 teacher in elementary, hear this, in elementary, is 95 square meters. So you might think that's overkill, but based on their studies, it's actually better if the students have ample amount of space to move around for PE, free breathing, air quality, noise quality, and all of those. So, however, if you look at this, link down below as well, according to DepEd Order number 64, this was passed in 2017, that the classroom size requirement is 7 by 9 meters or 63 square meters. So you might think, well, maybe it's because the Philippines has 5 to 9 students per classroom. Actually, no. The Philippines has 45 students per classroom. In other schools, the maximum is 40. In other countries, the maximum is 30. You can go lower as 10 in other countries. But the Philippines is requiring a minimum of 63 square meters for 45 students, almost going below 1 meter per student. Now, that's not 1 meter between students, no, 1 meter per student. So that is very hard. That is including the teacher's desk, the whiteboard. So it is very difficult. And this is very difficult because maybe the deficit in focus, maybe because of the environment, or maybe it's because ecologically, ADD, ADHD, or more, or other stuff. But it is really important to realize that without ample amount of space, you're not gonna get the maximum amount of, or the maximum quality of education that you are promised. And another story that proves that there is a lack in facilities here in the Philippines is a story from Sofia Toma Cruz. This actually really proves that the schools here in the Philippines are broken. And according to her article in June 3, 2019 in Rappler, according to a Bangon Silangan faculty president, there are 80 to 100 students occupying a classroom in 7th to 8th grade in their school. So if you think about it, you have 63 square meters of space for 100 students. If we were to follow Kenneth Tanner's research, or University of Georgia's research, that should actually have 950 square meters. They should actually have the schools be that big, the classroom be that big. However, it's not. So according to her story, that the 7th to 8th grade students are really struggling, and that's not a good thing. There's a lot more things that are broken in the Philippines: air quality, noise quality, the curriculum, and the lighting and all of that, but especially the size. It is very important to realize that If you start with the size, all will follow. It is really expensive to make a classroom here in the Philippines. Next is poverty. So, according to the Philippine Statistics Authority, 16.6% of people here in the Philippines are under the poverty line, meaning it is between 5 to 16 million people here in the Philippines, according to what research you're looking at, word clock or maybe PSA. But whatever you're looking at, it's in the millions. It is from 5 to 16 million. So, according to this, how do you know the family is under the poverty line? So, the poverty line is if a family of 5 earns 7,337 pesos per month. If you earn lower than that, you're under the poverty line. So, if you look at all of these, the expenditure actually here in the Philippines, if you go down below to see the article about this, the expenditure here in the Philippines for public schools, no tuition fees, are 4,350 for elementary and 4,560 pesos for high school. And you might think, well, that's very cheap. That's only 4,000 pesos. However, if you think about it, this is monthly, meaning that the only thing left for this family of 5 is 3,000 pesos. And that's not covering their food for the entire month. So, it is very difficult for them to continue schooling. And that's actually evident. If we look at the statistics that is presented in the same article, there are 13,241,213 students in elementary currently. And 6.38% of them are dropouts. So, more or less a million. So, that's a lot. Next is, there's 844,789 children out of school. And that's a lot. Those are 845,000 students that can be the next future president, a future engineer, the future of the Philippines. And in the secondary, there are 7,049,877 students that are enrolled as secondary students, secondary pupils. And 7.82% of them are dropouts. So, it's larger than the elementary. And it's very scary because if you look at it, there is actually a rise in the secondary student dropouts. Considering that they're lower than the elementary enrollment, it is very detrimental, it is very dangerous to have that amount of dropouts. And according to this, there are 551,300 students that are out of school. And again, those are 551,000 students that could be the future professionals. And it's very dangerous and it's very important to talk about this. And I hope this would be addressed in the Philippines. And we're doing massive strides to do this. The DepEd is getting the Department of Education is getting a larger budget from the government, and they're protesting. They're actually pushing the government to look at DepEd, at education in a greater and more important light, that give it more importance, give it more value that it already has, because what it has, the value it has right now is not sufficient. And I hope this could be addressed, and I hope you like this. Comment down below what you think about the topic. Comment down below what you would like for me to talk about, about school, especially school, about it, school mentality, all of that. And I hope you like this. Comment down below, like and subscribe. And if you really like this, share this with your friend. And I really appreciate you listening and being here with me right now. And that's all. This is Rebollido for Think Out Loud, signing out.